Hey everybody, I'm Tarl Yarber with Fixated Real Estate. Welcome once again to one of our amazing properties. Now we don't own this one yet. I've actually never been to this house before, so you guys are gonna walk with me for the first time that I've ever been through it, period. It's gonna be exciting. I'm gonna show you guys how I walk through each house, how I look at it in detail, how I take photos of everything, whether or not it's a good house to buy or not for us. We're supposed to close on it in a matter of a couple days. So the fact that we've been able to go through this house from start to finish, commit to buying it without me ever seeing it is pretty cool. I'm gonna show you how we actually do that. So come with me, we'll show you what we're looking for, and let's go walk the property. All right, now before we walk any property, even though I've never been here before, other than today, just with you guys, we gotta know what do we need to do to get our maximum after repair value for the property before we buy it. Now, we already are committed to buying this thing for $170,000. Now, we also believe that we can get the house up to a value of $425,000. So with those things in combined, what is our max budget that we can have before we actually break into this property and basically start doing all the remodeling? So we need a plan. We need to know what kind of bedroom, bathroom count we need, how much full rehab we need to do, and in all that, can we make our budget work? Now, at a 425 ARV and a 170 purchase, if we want to hit the numbers we want to hit for profitability, that gives us a budget of between $125,000 and $135,000, right? Which is a lot of budget. However, you'll see in a moment, this house is completely messed up. It's down to the studs. The past owner tried to rehab it a bunch of times. They weren't able to really do it. There's a lot of siding issues you'll see. We have to do literally everything. It's currently a 3-bedroom with no baths, and we need to make it at least a 3-bedroom with a master bath and another second bath as well. If we can get 4 bedrooms, that would be even better. So let's see if we can make this happen. Now, while I'm going through it, since we already committed to buy this house, the reason why we already committed to buy it is because my team's already been through it. They took lots and lots of photos of this thing. They put it in full detail. This is why I think photos are the most important part of our entire business for us to analyze properties. We have over 175 photos of this house already from my team members. And I was able, from my computer, to be able to help analyze this deal without ever walking it and get full concept of it because of how we take photos. So if I were here by myself for the first time, I would treat this like I've never been here before. So I would take photos of the entire front. I would go around the entire side, out the entire exterior, get all the details I can, see if I can see the roof, the crawl space, everything. And then I would go through the front door and continue to take photos as if I'm walking through it. Some of you guys might say, let's think about a video. Well, photos, you can zoom in and see the rehab and construction issues. You can send them to people. You can do all sorts of stuff. A video is also cool, but I would rather have photos than a video. Now, initially, when I'm looking at this house, just to jump into it, if I know I have a $135,000 budget, I can see that there's something called cement asbestos board. That's CAB, right? Now, do you always need to take that off? No. But on this house, if we want to get the value we're looking for, we might need to take that off, which means an asbestos abatement. I do know what the rest of the house looks like on the sides, and you'll see that the siding is not in good condition, and unfortunately, we're going to have to remove all of that. I'm also noticing the windows and how they're older single pane windows, both of it. There's some issues with the trim pieces on the side of the house too. And this is a little dated, but we like the character because it's an old craftsman home. We're gonna wanna probably try to keep this character as much as possible for the front porch. So, but we are gonna need to do a lot of repairs with it to begin with. So that's already, I'm looking at almost a full rehab just on the exterior of the house. Major landscaping. This almost looks like an extra lot, which we might dig into later in the future if we keep this thing. But you can already tell, look at this. All the cement asbestos boards being ripped off throughout the whole property. All the windows are messed up already. I'm gonna need to check the foundation out. They've done some work, you could tell, with some of the vents that are down there. This is all bad, so I'm looking at full windows. I'm looking at full siding replacement. I'm looking at all of it. But those are all big expenses. If you've ever had asbestos have to get ripped off on a property, it's not cheap, right? I'm not gonna go down a path of how silly some of the asbestos abatement companies are and the laws around it, right? But the truth is, you gotta do it right. So, or else you can get in trouble because there's a lot of issues with it here in our area at least. There's a garage here. I know we've only peeked in there. There's a bunch of garbage in there, so I'm gonna have a trash out bid for sure. The siding is all messed up. I'm gonna have to redo that. The roof's messed up. But check this out as we hear the doggy barking. Look at that. We're not gonna be able to save any of this. So we're gonna have to rip all that out for sure. And that's gonna be exciting. So we know full siding, full windows, full cement asbestos board, like, you know, getting rid of it, mitigation. Major landscaping. We're already cutting into our budget pretty fast here, right? So some of you guys might be from different parts of the US and go, why not just tear down the whole house? Why not? Some people would. Unfortunately, in the Pacific Northwest, where we are, the cost to rebuild this type of house would actually be way more than 125 to 135,000, way more, right? So there's no way we're going to be able to do that. Plus also it creates an increased permit times, all that sort of stuff. The value of the house wouldn't be that much more than 425, even if it was a new build, especially if we take it to just like fully redoing it. Plus it's an old historic looking house, 1895. Why would we want to tear that down? Especially when we can make it awesome. So let's go check out the inside now. Actually, before we go on the inside, this is stuff that always cracks me up when I'm looking at like, what did people do to this property before they actually started remodeling it? Like, who did they listen to? What contractors did they hire? And it's always fascinating to me to look at the construction components of what somebody else was doing before we got to it. Right? These are huge 4x6 treated posts, right? Huge. And they're bracketed in nicely. They cut the cement, everything. They put a lot of work to getting this in here. And then you look at the top and what they're trying to build. They put these little 4x4s and 2x4s and all this, and they didn't do any of this right up top. And they use these massive 4x6s, which are crazy to me that they decide we need these to be really strong, but everything else up there holding the roof structure to be super, super weak. Just a side note, make sure you hire the right contractors, the right professionals when you're working with them. Not everybody knows what they're doing. So, zoom, 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 zoom. So we've already pretty much said we're doing everything on the exterior. So that's a lot of money already. And those detailed costs for you are going to be different than for us. Every part of the U.S. is a different expense. Every contractor is a different bid. Material costs are different for everywhere in the U.S. as well. So you're going to need to look at that up yourself. There's a great book called by Jay Scott, The Book on Estimating Rehab Costs. Look it up. It's a great book. You buy it on Amazon and BiggerPockets. Now, all right. So I've never been in here, but I've seen photos. Remember, lots of photos. And I would be taking photos of everything, so that way I didn't show that. I have to be here again. But I'm looking at this, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but my first instinct is that somebody did some work here and started cutting all these joists, right? Now, when you start seeing a bunch of cut joists, you go, why did they cut all those joists? There's something there. Were they structural or were they not? Always consult a professional if you need to. Taking lots of photos of this area and sending them to an architect or a well-qualified engineer or a well-qualified GC or contractor or framer. They can answer these questions and help you with the whole schematics of the house with maybe not even showing up to the house if you have the right photos and documentation. So for us, we know that they were trying to open this area up to make the stairway bigger, and they left this here to structurally support it. However, this is not structurally supportive. It's an old opening that has no structural support whatsoever. And that is going to need to be remedied and fixed. And we're going to probably need to put a big, huge beam right here in this whole area to open this, to hold this, because it's holding up the entire floor structure above us. And we'll show you a little bit up there right now. So this is holding up this entire bedroom that's above us. And this is not structural. So that's bad, right? So that's a big red flag. The rest of this house, it's really hard to see with this video about how it's all open framing. So let's go jump into the floor plan that we magically had somebody on our team draw up for you guys before we got here. So this is actually where we're standing right now. We're right here. We went through the front door, right? There's that non-structural beam that we're going to need to replace. Open area. The joists are running this way. And then we're in this little alcove area. There's a back area here. This is another load beam. And then you have a weird bedroom and a closet with no doors, right? It's just kind of funny because there's literally no doors on this thing, which is great. So when we're looking here, we have a lot of open space. We have a living room concept. We have a big open area here. We have an open area here in this area. If you have no skill on building a floor plan, can you look at least all this framing in an open space and think, can I get at least a bedroom? Can I get a kitchen? Can I get a living room? Probably. Can we even get a bathroom down here? Probably, right? If you get the help with maybe your realtor, this is where an architect or a designer would come in and help you out quite a bit, they could probably look at all this and go, cool, maybe put a half bath here, make this into some sort of closet and bedroom configuration, make a living room, dining room, and then maybe a kitchen in the back. And there's plenty of space here to get a bedroom, a bath, living room, kitchen, and so forth, right? If you're like me, when I first started doing this business, I would never be able to do that in a million years, but it's actually been over a decade now and I can do it. But so can you, depending on how many projects you have. But before I ever started learning how to do this stuff on my own, I hired professionals, I worked with professionals, I copied other investors, I started working with them too, and it taught us how to build floor plans over the years. And it takes time, right? But if you never want to do it, that's why you hire people. That's what they're there for. And you got to budget that in. So immediately, pretty much you're looking at this, guys, and you're looking, man, you need everything. Absolutely right. We do need everything. So we need to add sheetrock. We got insulation. We have framing issues we got to take care of. We got to rechange a few things. We got to add a brand new kitchen. We got to add a bath. We got to add blah, 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 electrical, plumbing, all of it. So let me give you a tip and trick. If we have plumbing, right, plumbing costs, then most plumbers charge per fixture for rough-in. So if I need 2 bathrooms, that's 2 toilets, 2 sinks, 2 baths, right, with a shower and everything as well, if I do the shower or the bath, right? So there already is 6 fixtures right there, right? 2 toilets, 2 sinks, 2 showers, right, or 2 baths. 6 fixtures. Most plumbers charge per those for rough-in. So if you already know what that cost is, and you got 6 fixtures there, and you can continue to count the fixture count. Doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the house, you might be able to come up with your own plumbing bid depending on who you work with your plumber. Just ask them what their rough-in fixture count is, fixture cost is per price per fixture. Same with electricians. They might do it price per square footage. If they look at the entire house, there's no electrical in this house. So we're gonna have to redo 100% of the wiring. So if we send a plan to an electrician that's used to doing builds and we say, hey, you don't even need to walk the house. Most electricians wouldn't need to. If they look at the plans that you provide them and say, we just need a bid for fully electrocuting this entire house, basically rewiring the whole thing because there's no wiring on it. They're like, it's all open framing, which is better for them because they don't need to cut in sheetrock or anything like that. And they could just come in and just bang it out. So you'll probably be able to get bids without electricians even having to walk the house, especially if you send them some photos. There's a trick, see? And you show them plans, they'll never have to walk it. They'll get bids that way. You can send it out to 20 different electricians and get bids back pretty quickly. There's lots of cool things when you have a fully demoed out open framing house that saves you time and actually kind of saves you costs depending on what you're doing. The good news for us, we didn't have to pay to get all the demo out of here and get all the lath and plaster, this used to be lath and plaster, out of here. That's a lot of money to have to do, so you don't want to do that. We don't need to walk the rest of this. Let's walk upstairs and show you guys what upstairs looks like. So one of our challenges that I saw from the photos was this stairway to begin with. And is it structurally sound? It is. We went through it. So we double checked that, but I wasn't sure what the loads were up at the top. And our engineer or architect that we're working with would be able to also help confirm that. But I want to show you guys some tricks really quick to see what's load and what's not on a house. So come on up here. So one of the tricks, like I said, don't quote me on all this stuff because you got to hire a professional. This just comes with some time. But once again, same concept here. Big open floor plan, right? Open meaning like you can walk through everything. It's all cut out. And we have to do everything, literally everything. Now there's some electrical hanging around here. This is one of the issues when you buy houses that have been like partially done. We don't know if that's done right. We don't know if we have to redo all of this. If we have to change the floor plan around, none of that counts, right? So we had to rip it out anyways. So we're budgeting in all electrical, everything, like it's nothing, like it doesn't even exist. All plumbing, everything, all sheetrock, everything, all framing, everything, like budget it all, right? All windows, whatever. If you're gonna do it anyways, budget it in. So it is pretty much like building a new house at this point. We're just working with an existing footprint. So let me show you one of the tricks for loads. Come over here. So these are ceiling joists, right? Just like floor joists, which we showed you guys the ones that were cut down below. Those typically carry some sort of load. A roof structure is different than a flooring structure and how that works. But something to just kind of check is that which way do the joists run, right? Which means they have to rest on something. So if these joists run this way, they can only go so far before they have to rest on a wall of some sort or a beam. Well, these joists run all the way to here, and then they stop on this beam, which is actually 2 2x4s and then 1 4x4, which makes it technically an 8x4 at that point. So it's resting here. So if they're resting on here, this means this is a load, because if you rip this out, the whole thing falls down. That's essentially what that means. So if you know where the joists are running on a property, you can start to look at which walls are actually carrying loads more than other walls and which ones are floating walls. Like this wall here doesn't carry any major load, but it is helping because it's basically helping hold the full span of these ceiling joists. But if we move this over a couple inches left, right, that kind of stuff, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? And so because it's still there to help kind of support, but it doesn't matter if it's where it is exactly, right? There's more to it than that, but those are some things to kind of check out to kind of give you guys some quick tips. You can see that underneath in the basements of houses. You can see how the joists are running, the floor joists, and you can see if they're resting on stuff. Weight has to rest on something. So check that out. Hope that helps a little bit. Might be a little bit too much more details than you need on this, but who knows? All right, so let's go back to the floor plan. So we're here. You guys can see full open concept going on here. You can see through everything. It is a really funky floor plan that we still don't understand what was in somebody's head to want to make it this way. But that's one of the joys of this business is we can either keep it as is and budget it the way that they framed it, because they put a lot of work into this to frame it, right? Or we just say, screw it, let's make it our own floor plan, which means we have to increase our budget, right? It's a catch-22, unfortunately. So we might get more value for doing it the way we want to because it's a more functional floor plan, but then it's going to cost us more because we got to change it, right? Then again, we might be able to keep it the way it is, which costs us less, which might not get us the value that we want. Either it might be a wash, we don't know, right? So we have to dig into that a little bit more. New panel was kind of getting done. You can see there's almost no wiring going into it, and there's also no major feed. So once again, we have to redo it all. So let's go into what it looks like today. All right, so this, and we make these plans on a program called Home Designer Pro, and that gives us these basic concepts here. So these are the stairs that we walked up, right? And I was saying that this wall here is basically a load, and then I found that this one is too, because if you look up, these joists are running this way over here, and they rest on this, but then they stop, and the joists switch this way, right? But they are joists resting on this wall, and that's this wall right here, okay? So all of us are standing here currently. So as you can see, you go through this, there's a bedroom here, which like, that's a good bedroom. We'll probably keep that, that's functional. We don't like that the wall is jutted this way, so we're talking about moving, or not moving, but basically putting a new wall here and then putting a fatty beam over here instead to be able to carry this load. So that way we can have this as a smaller bedroom and have more of a hallway. You have this weird closet. So basically you have a closet here and a huge closet here, which they intended on making that a master bath. But then they were going to put a doorway here and make this all one big, huge master bath too, a master suite. So they're going to do a master suite down here and a master suite up here as well, and have this really weird opening here. So you had a closet, bedroom, and then bathroom, right? And then you also had a closet and then another bathroom potentially. We don't need two master suites. Also, currently, these would be the two only bathrooms in the entire house and no bathroom downstairs, right? So we think we could probably get 3 bedrooms up here, a bedroom downstairs, make a master bathroom here, and probably squeeze in another bathroom in another spot. So this is kind of what we came up with as a potential floor plan, which comes back to, this is that wall I said we just kind of tuck over, make a bedroom. This is a load area here so that we still keep this load, so we actually increase it. We could put a beam here. And then we have a bedroom, smaller bedroom. Hallway gets shifted. We get a hall bath, and then we have a doorway that goes into a master suite, a master closet, master bedroom, which is where we're standing right here, right? So it works out, so we can do it, so it magically works. Now your architect could do that, like I said, you would have to pay for that, you'd have to pay some money for that for sure. We're messing around with it internally. These are just ideas. This might not be the final plan that we actually make. If we decide to get permits for this house, which you bet that we definitely will, because this is a major remodel, you have to get permits. This is going to get a little bit more refined. There's going to be more details put into this because they're required for the permitting to be done, in which case we might need an architect to put those details in. Depends on your city, depends on your municipality. All right. All that said, can we make this deal work? Right? That's the question. And there's a lot here, guys. There's a lot. This is a hard thing to look at and say this is a complete open concept house. But this is one of the downsides when people get into house flipping, or we actually might keep this as a rental. We haven't decided yet. Is you look at a house like this, like, oh, I can just remodel this whole thing, right? But somebody on your team has to have some sort of construction experience. Somebody. Don't let this be your very first project you ever do as a house flip or a BRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Don't let it be your first one unless you have competent people on your team that understand the construction. This, I do truly believe we can get done for less than $135,000 based on the years of experience we've had. But if I was newer on this project, and this has happened to me in past projects, that 135 could go to 200,000 really fast in the Pacific Northwest with change orders, issues, whatever, right? You start listening to the wrong contractors, doing more than you need to, being charged more than you need to be charged. This type of project can get out of hand like that pretty quickly, right? So it's super important that on a house like this, you know your numbers and don't just jump straight into it. Definitely get somebody on your team. Maybe partner with another investor that you can work with on a project like this that might be able to help you in your business that has the experience on these type of houses, right? I would do that in a heartbeat, right, with some investors, especially if it was an area that I don't invest in, right? So I'd rather get 50% of something versus 100% of nothing, or get 100% out of a project that totally goes completely sideways because it goes way over budget because there's too many factors involved in it, right? I hope that doesn't scare some of you guys away from investing. Now that said, we're going to do more videos on this house as time goes on, so definitely continue to check out what we do. Check out BiggerPockets YouTube channel as much as possible. Make sure you guys subscribe to BiggerPockets YouTube channel. You could follow me on Instagram, Tarl Yarber, and my company Fixated Real Estate. You can look up Fixated RE on Facebook and Instagram, and also Tarl Yarber on both those platforms. We always do stuff on videos, education as much as we can on this stuff, and we hope it helps you guys for your next project or even helps you get started in real estate investing. So don't be scared of this house, right? Just make sure that you do the right house for you if you guys are starting out. See you guys later.